4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. Ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka. Phenomena. Tiptoe through the tulips with me.
You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to
This one's explosive.
Life is full of violence, and truth is meeting silence. Tonight we're talking spirit and science. So it's time for your defiance, giants. TSR Reality Reliance.
You are listening to Talk Supernatural Radio, where fun meets scary truth Friday nights. We're bringing Spiritual 411 from the U.S. to the U.K., up north to down under, Rhode Island to Easter Island, from the outback to the front door, even through Chicken, Alaska to Cut and Shoot, Texas. I love it. And if you are listening, you are right where you're supposed to be.
The views and opinions and personalities expressed on this show are those solely of TSR and do represent who we are and what we believe. If you don't like satire, if you find rabbit trailing annoying, if you don't like to laugh, if you can't handle the truth, do not listen to this show. We are not responsible for your nightmares, denial issues, bleeding ears, or annoyance.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of TSR. We are your Parapod hosts, Heidi and Scott Linden. By day, we play normal. But all the other times, we are supernatural investigating podcast rock stars. Our goal is to cast some light into the darkness, to expose the unseen things in our world for what they really are. Through the news, the facts, experiences, and stories, we share with you laughs and words to live right by.
That was awesome. We're back live tonight, so if you can join us in chat on our Spreaker stream. Last week, we were out of town, and the week before, we missed also because it was like 115 with the heat index, and the air in our studio stinks, and I was not going to be podcasting in 115.
Tonight we are podcasting
naked
That's
podcasting.
Right. So we're hoping you're not offended, but it's still a little warm up here. And but in the nude, we feel great.
Well, okay, we're not totally naked, but it's really hot up here.
Yeah, it's a little warm.
We're clothed. Don't worry. Well, at least Scott's partially clothed. Well, anyways, like I said, if you can, join us in our chat in our Spreaker stream. If you have any questions or comments, just post it in there and we can answer during the show. And feel free to leave a comment via our new hotline. It's 262-757-TSR2. Because there's two of us. 1, 2. Are you right?
What?
What are you doing?
Being hot.
You're being something.
Sticky sweet.
Lovely. All right, so tonight we're going to be talking about the latest odd news, because there are some. And our main topic is going to be on spiritual influence and...
spiritual influence.
And transference. I can't even speak.
Yes, that's right.
But first, there's some interesting things going on in and out of the headlines. So we are going to start with our random news picks.
Interesting.
Headlines.
All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is HBO. I think it has already started showing a documentary on the Slender Man case. Wait, never mind. I think it's in the fall. In the fall, that's right. But if you guys don't know what the Slender Man case is all about, we've talked about it on past episodes. It happened in our state, so we're really familiar with it, not too far from our house, actually. It's a Wisconsin criminal case that happened in 2014 where there were two 12-year-old girls and they attempted to kill their classmate by stabbing her to death, leaving her for dead. all in order to impress this fictional horror character called Slender Man. And if anybody out there listening is familiar with the website Creepypasta, it started on there. It's where you write horror stories and people just...
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, it is. It's nice for people who want to live in the dark. And, they post these stories, and then somehow they turned into, like, these mini urban legends online. Next thing you know, people are believing these characters are real. Like these...
What?
I know, these impressionable little girls. So now HBO has picked up this documentary. It's called Beware of the Slender Man. Irene Brodsky, she directed this documentary, and it documents the whole story of the two girls, Anissa Weyer and Morgan Geyser. She followed this whole story for 18 months, and starting with their arrests in May of 2014 through the court proceedings of the first-degree murder charges. The sweet little girl, Peyton Lautner, she was stabbed 19 times and left for dead in the woods. Now, thank God she made a full recovery.
It's crazy that she did with that many stab wounds.
I know, and they left her for a while, too, and
Right.
just laying there. I think it was a jogger had spotted
some
her.
people can get stabbed once or get shot once and they're dead, and then this girl, was able to survive that.
And I started thinking, what if that girl was stabbed or whatever, and these two little girls take off? Would anybody have known that it was these girls if she would have died? Would they have, you know what I mean? You never know. Maybe.
Well,
I don't know. But
I can't imagine
them
these
getting
other
away with
girls being able to, erase their trail that well, not being thinking that far ahead.
And they really weren't, because after they after they stabbed her multiple times, they set her up, they did this whole sleepover that night, and they knew they were going to do this whole thing.
Oh, right.
So in the next morning...
she was supposed to be and all this, yeah.
And they said that Slender Man told them to do it. So they were found meandering down the street. They said that they were going to Slender Man's mansion or something. So they weren't all there. So they were trying to look for this imaginary Slender Man in his imaginary mansion. Many see this as a crime, some see it as mental illness, but we see it definitely as a strong case of spiritual oppression. I mean, because there's so much more to this, and if you guys have HBO, I recommend you watch this documentary, because I haven't seen it, but I'm assuming that they're going to get into what these girls were doing. I mean, they were making these crazy drawings, they were mutilating Barbie dolls.
And the drawings alone were disturbing enough that someone... parents or someone should have questioned, what the heck are you doing?
I know one of the set of parents of one of the girls, and I don't know which girl it was, they were involved. They were the ones that got their kids on this creepypasta, so they were involved in all this dark stuff.
People just don't think.
So, yeah, but I'm thinking,
They don't think.
But darkness is such an attraction to people now.
Yeah,
is. And so when something happens
especially
with these...
if you're a bat.
Yeah, if you're a bat, you're going to love the dark.
Yeah.
Or a raccoon.
Yeah.
And garbage. All right. Actually, next week, we're going to be doing a whole show on this case and discussing the strong and negative influences on our kids and minds through stories and music and TV and stuff like that, and how it influences. Sort of like a part 2 to what we're going to be discussing tonight. All right. So the next story is Hinckley was released.
Yeah,
remember
I heard
him?
that. Yep.
In the name of actress Jodie Foster, the warped mind of John Hinckley Jr. pulled the trigger to assassinate President Ronald Reagan in 1981. One of the bullets punctured the Prez's lung. He just missed his heart, so he lived. But now it's 35 years later, and Hinckley is being released from a hospital in Washington, D.C., where he's been receiving mental health treatment. He was actually, I didn't know this, he was found not guilty by reason of insanity, so he's never been in prison. He's been in this mental ward.
Huh.
So he shot 4 people, not just President Reagan. 4 people got hurt in that.
Right. If I thought...
And one of them died.
Yeah, I thought so. One of the security...
Yeah, but it happened years later.
Oh.
Let's see, what does it say? It says the press secretary, James Brady, he was actually paralyzed from the waist down, but he ended up passing in 2014 from those injuries.
Right.
So...
Yeah, usually people who end up, paraplegics or something like that, their lifespan just isn't the same.
Long. Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I guess because the body's not really functioning the way it's supposed to, and they just have complications.
Oh,
just
wow.
never really... People who are usually handicapped in that way just usually don't have, for the most part, a normal lifespan because of their injuries.
Yeah, so
which is sad. Here the guy is doing his job, but what do you do? There are sick people in this world that have problems, and I don't know the whole story about
Hinckley
as far as what his mental capacity was, but there are people that they're just out there. They don't know.
Well, here's something that is interesting to me, at least, about this story is now he's being released, but he's going to live with his 90-year-old mother in Virginia. Now, she's 90, and I'm not trying to be rude, but I don't know if she's going to be here that much longer. So
right.
who is going to be watching this guy? I mean, not that a 90-year-old could really watch him. But I guess since 2013, he's been spending 17 days a month there already. So, I mean, pretty much, he has, like, these rules with being released. He can't speak to the media, and he has to have a GPS phone on him so that they can track him all times. And one time a month, he has to go to Washington, D.C. for treatment, and he has to constantly be in contact with his doctors.
Sure, send him to Washington, D.C., closest to the next president. Good idea. Now, forget about the other states that we have you could send him to. We'll want to send him near... Washington, D.C.
Trump will be all right if he builds a wall.
He's going to need a wall.
From Hinckley. And now that Hinckley knows that Jodie Foster's gay, maybe he's not interested anymore. So, because he did do it to impress her. What Jodie Foster had to do with killing the president, I don't know. But
plus, she's older, too, now.
Yeah, but she's gay, so he doesn't care. He's like, oh, she's not killing anybody. Going to do nothing for me.
I just don't think he's going to think that far into that box. But.
Maybe not. So, now we've talked about mental illness and demonic influence before, but I think with this guy, it sounds more of a real mental illness issue because the things are so sporadic and there's nothing real spiritual sounding to me. I don't know. I think it's odd.
Next,
you do
we
the
want
next
to
one.
talk about Miss Cleo Passes. She was a phone psychic in the 1990s, and it all started with "Call me now." For only $3.99 a minute, Miss Cleo told callers that she would use the power of the tarot to show them the way, and that the cards would reveal things they never seen for themselves. The Mind and the Spirit.com company went under in 2003 after an FBI investigation of them scamming people for hundreds to thousands upon thousands of dollars. So Yorhi Harris, a.k.a. Miss Cleo, was famous for her medium spokesmanship. She was 53 and she passed from cancer. Call me now.
I remember in the 90s because, I'm 45. I don't know, our listeners, there's a wide range of age.
You're old. Holy crap.
You're older.
No.
Yeah.
I'm 29.
You're a cradle robber. Okay.
What?
You're 29?
Yeah.
No, you're like 67 or something, aren't you?
You lie like a rug.
How old are you?
29.
You're not 20. Okay, then I guess I'm a cougar. But anyways, in the 90s...
Yeah, I think when your teeth just fell out.
I still have a couple. Don't trust me. I can work on it. Now listen to my story. Are you going to listen?
I don't want to listen to your story.
This is interesting. So, okay, back in the 90s, this Miss Cleo sort of rung in all this whole phone psychic. Well, it was Dionne Warwick and the Psychic Friends. But Miss Cleo was like this huge thing. And people truly believed that she was from Jamaica and that she, Yaman, and she had all these gifts and stuff. And I remember calling this number, and my mom was so mad because, I grew up knowing things about people and seeing spirits and stuff. So it was like that was so taboo back then. So when this spring of spiritualism blossomed, I was excited because I'm like, I'm not weird after all,
right?
And so I'm like,
a connection for you, like someone. There's somebody else that.
Yeah.
And
so, when I was in 8th grade, I wanted to be Madonna, and I had all the black lace gloves and all the rubber.
I wanted to be Madonna, too.
Did you?
Yeah. I think I wanted that brass bra.
No, that was after.
Oh.
The cone bra you talking about? Yeah, that was way after. I didn't want to be Madonna then. Ew. She was just so weird. But Madonna was cool back in the borderline days. But then when Miss Cleo came out, I was like, I'm getting a tan and a do-rag, and I'm going to learn how to speak Jamaican, and I'm going to be a psychic too. Call me now! And then she just, disappeared. And that's because of the whole FBI investigation.
Oh.
But I did get grounded for 2 weeks because
worth it.
Our phone bill was a lot of money.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't call it just once?
No, I did call it once. It was $3.99 a minute. But I never got Miss Cleo. I got some chick.
The prices?
Huh? Yeah.
$4 a minute?
I know.
And then how long were you on, if you remember,
I
approximately?
don't. It was over $90 the bill.
Oh.
So a while. I just remember that, and my mom like having a heart attack. But I do want to put a little disclaimer out there, a little infomercial, that these phone psychics are not what they appear to be. I even talk about it in my book.
What?
I know.
They're not real?
When I was younger, I was hired by a phone psychic, a very popular one, actually. And when I went into my interview, here's me. I've done this stuff all my life, so it was like normal to me. And the chick sitting next to me, she's like, oh, are you here for the job? I said, yeah. She goes, yeah, me too. And I'm like, oh, so you do tarot and you do psychic reading and stuff? She goes, no, I just need an extra job. I'm pregnant and I have a kid. And I'm like, okay.
So you don't, you don't
know nothing.
You mean this, you're not real?
And they really push you to lie and to say certain things, and it's not worth it. And I tried to be honest as much as I could, but they wanted me to push like clubs. You join these psychic clubs and stuff, and I didn't want to do that. So I sucked at the clubs. I never got my bonuses, but I made good money. I was making a lot of money. I mean, I think it was, I don't even remember, but I was making a lot per minute. Yeah. So they take a portion, obviously the bigger portion, but for sitting there talking, reading, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But now I feel bad because all those people got sucked into it. So don't call psychic hotlines. That's sort of coming out again. There's some California psychics commercial. No, they're not real. Don't do it.
They're from California. They're real.
Oh, are they?
Everybody from California is real.
Really? Boobs, hair, lips.
Yeah.
It's all real in California.
Yeah, I want to get a man bun.
What's a man bun?
Man bun is popular out there now.
What? Really? How do you know what's going on in California?
I know a lot of things.
You're hip to the California scene?
I'm hip.
Okay, what's a man bun? I don't even know what that is.
It's basically like a bun on top of your head. So it's it's a hair bun.
A hair bun for a guy?
Yeah, he puts his hair. You put your hair on top of your head like a girl's, but it's not a girl. It's a man bun.
Ew.
It's like having a man purse, you know?
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Well, then you can put your bun in your purse if you get hot up there.
Well, no, because there's probably their real hair. I mean, I guess some people could have a fake one.
It's like
long hair, and they just put their hair up in a bun. But you can have, I guess you could have a fake one. Why not?
Oh my gosh! Well, they got the hats.
I could totally use a fake one.
They got the hats with the dreads.
Yeah,
right.
I want that.
I do too. They're pretty cool.
Remember I wore that one?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I actually looked all right in it because didn't it have like a little gray or something in it too?
Yeah.
It actually it looks real.
Yeah, because you're going gray at 29, right?
Yeah. What happens?
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, rabbit trail. In regards to Miss Cleo, okay, so it's interesting about this. A couple years ago, before she passed, obviously, she said that even though she was born in L.A., California, because they said she was a big fake and phony and she wasn't from Jamaica, and she's like, okay, yeah, so I was born in California, but my heritage is Haitian, which is from Haiti, and we know that's where the big voodoo stuff, right? She said that she came from a family of spooky people. She stated that she comes from a family of Obi, which is another word for voodoo. Let's see, for 30 years, she studied under a mambo, and a mambo is like a voodoo high priestess. And then she became a mambo herself. And when they hired her to do this, be the spokesperson or whatever for the psychic thing, they didn't want her to say that she was a voodoo mambo high priestess, so they said just psychic. So she thought that was weird, but she did it. With that said, a lot of stuff that she said were lies. So I don't even really know if her background is any of this that she says, or if that was a cover to at least save face, because she still did some of this work.
Woman's dead. Why do you want to start?
Because she it was a fake and a phony, a charlatan. You know.
At least she did something for the money.
But then, what? What did she do? She said on TV.
Hope.
Oh gosh. Yeah, and she also gave them, like, debt.
Yeah, but that was their choice. They didn't have to stay on the phone. She provided hope for those lost in this world in the need of a word from the tarot card that would provide them an avenue of movement towards a positive outlook in their deep, dismal world, that they could suddenly become something they never thought they would be, a reality of what was coming in the future.
You are my density. Speaking of which, next week I am going to play a clip of a phone call that I've been getting, and I want to know if anybody else one of our listeners is getting this phone call too. We continually, at least once a week, are getting this message because I never pick up my home phone. And it's this guy, and he sounds like a preacher, but he speaks like a psychic, and he's like, "Oh, Satan is coming to get you. Call me now. Press 1. Press 1 now. If you need to know what I can tell you about the devil getting you." And just, he goes on and on and on. And he makes me panic. I'm just like, what's going on? And the thing is, it's a scam, because if you press 1, if you answer and you hear this and you press 1, instantly you've automatically agreed to it. Next thing you know, you get a phone bill of like $400. So.
Is that what happened to the phone bill?
No, I never. I called them back and said, "Let me tell you, you're going to hell because you're lying to people." So, yeah, I'm going to play that clip.
Yeah, you could do that, and then you could charge them $1 more than they're charging you.
Okay.
And he would owe you.
There's our business. Now we got a home business.
That's right.
Scam a scammer.
And? I mean, how much trouble can you get in for scamming a scammer?
Right. They'd thank me.
Yeah.
They'd have a parade.
Yeah. They'd
be
like,
parade.
"Yeah, way to get back."
Yeah.
Yeah. We were a couple minutes late tonight.
I know.
Yeah, because I had to chase a chicken in the backyard.
Yeah, our neighbor's chickens got out in our backyard.
Yeah, so me and my son were running around the backyard because we have a dog that needs to go outside. And the chicken was running around. And so my son, he's like 13. I'm like, the chickens don't bite. But he got the chicken. He grabbed it by the wing.
By the wing, probably broke it.
"Give me the chicken." Chicken was fine when you caught him. He's all like... But
the chicken was all...
He was really happy.
He purred?
Well, yeah, he purred.
He didn't sound happy at all. He sounded
Once
like...
I got him?
I think you were suffocating him. You were holding him so tight.
He was so happy when I had him. He's like, "I'm just a happy little chicken."
Okay, the next story.
He was bulking up.
Oh, that's terrible.
He was a Kentucky Fried Freak.
You are so weird.
He was just winging it.
Are you done with the stupid puns? That is absolutely ridiculous.
You have to do it in pecking order.
All right. Doesn't even make sense.
This is off the top of my head. Give me a break.
Blair Witch Project.
Yes.
Remember that movie?
Yes.
Well, She
was
Returns.
That was actually awesome.
Because it was
different.
different.
Watching that.
It was a different movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally different. And it made a lot of money. I don't even know, but I know it was very minimal what they paid.
Oh, very minimal.
And they made millions upon millions.
That was like thousands of dollars is all they spent.
Yeah. Well, they knew what they were doing. But Comic-Con unveiled a trailer of the sequel to 1999's The Blair Witch Project. This one is called, you ready?
Huh.
The Blair Witch. Yeah.
What?
Not The Blair Witch Project, just The Blair Witch. Because the first one was called The Project. And they did have a second one, and I guess it bombed.
Yeah.
So this is, I don't know. So the synopsis is either crazy or dumb, maybe both, college students enter Maryland's infamous Black Hills Forest. Why, you ask? Because the brother of one of the missing filmmakers takes his friends out to search for his sister. She's been missing. She's one of the Blair
She's been missing for
ever.
Like 18 years or something. So it's like maybe they should have thought about this.
Maybe they're continuing from back then.
But these people are going to look older now. I mean, everybody's going to know that it didn't. Yeah, that's dumb.
Well, here you can read the synopsis right here in your movie voice.
As night falls, the team realizes the legend is all too real after they are visited by a menacing presence.
Ooh, doesn't that sound good? I won't go see it because I don't like scary movies, but it does sound interesting.
The 2000 sequel, Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, pretty much bombed.
So it's safe to say that they're going to try to make this one better. I think they will.
You would hope.
I mean, they give it time, and hopefully, because, I mean, sometimes I hate when they rush into something, a sequel, so quick, and they just don't take the time to just...
I think 18 years is long enough.
I mean, just, come on.
Yeah, come on now.
Just do it right.
Come on. Okay, this one's cool. I actually put this video up on our Facebook page for people to... I told people, I said, call me. I want to know what you guys think. Call me now. I want to know what you think. But no one did. So I'm like, what a bunch of losers. Call me. Mysterious Lights over...
Call me.
Okay, thank you. Mysterious Lights over St. Louis Arches. So Chase Rhodes, he was leaving the casino at 2:30 a.m. He sees this strange light over the National Monument in St. Louis, which is that big gateway arch. He pulls over to record it because he's like, whoa. Now, I saw the video. And I saw it where it came directly from the Malcolm W. Martin Memorial Park Facebook page. So he actually gave it to them, and they posted it. So it's legit.
Yeah. Yo, man, it's legit. You know what I'm saying?
Now, if anybody knows us, they know that I personally, you're not either. We're not really into the whole UFO alien thing, but it is unidentified. It was a flying object, so it is a UFO. I don't think it's alien, but I don't know. Now, the National Park Service didn't have any reports of flights over that area at the time. No one, well, not many people are up at 2:30 in the morning, but maybe they are, because, I don't know. But no one reported seeing the lights. And there was nothing out of the ordinary went on that night, and no one else saw it. So we posted the video if you guys want to take a look. It's on our Facebook page. But I'd like to know what you guys think, because it's not a, what do they always say? It's a weather balloon or a plane. It can't be, because it just pops up in weird places out of the blue.
The way it moves.
Yeah, so it's very interesting.
So it's definitely unidentified.
Yeah. And
it's always hard to get down to the truth of, it could be something government, it could be something and you just don't know. But on the other hand,
you never know. Okay, so let's see. Coraphobia. You know what that is?
Coraphobia. To scare, or to be afraid of coral reefs.
No. But you would think, right?
Okay,
Coraphobia.
Cora. I don't know.
It's the fear of clowns.
Oh.
And you're going to have a fear of clowns when you hear this story. Police up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Another great place. Woo! Packer game Sunday. Yeah. Okay, so I did that. They've been getting calls from freaked out residents about this scruffy-looking clown, very creepy-looking clown. He's walking around with 4 black balloons. He doesn't have a really happy bozo kind of face either. Yeah.
I haven't seen this. I've heard about it.
Yeah, I'll show you the picture.
Yeah.
He first appeared on August 1st at 2 a.m., and they've named him Gags. Okay. Police say that there's not much they can do because the clown doesn't appear to be armed or dangerous, and he's not committing a crime. He's just real creepy, and they can't do anything because he's
I'd want to keep my eye on him.
But here's what's interesting.
When anybody does something weird like that for no reason, it's like, we're going to watch you.
That is weird. I mean, come on.
I mean, there's got to be a reason.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you see like 20 people, jump the clown, and then they're going to get in the whole Clown Lives Matters, and oh, jeez.
Oh, boy, we'll have signs all over the place. Clown Lives Matters.
In October 2014, cops in California were getting calls of creepy clowns walking around in their town. I was following that story, and it just sort of seemed to stop. It ended up being a husband and wife because they were doing some kind of photography project. But there were copycat clown appearances then.
CCCs.
Yeah.
Copycat clowns.
A 14-year-old was chased down by a clown. He got really scared. Nothing happened to him, but he was totally freaked out. Some are walking around carrying balloons, but also some are walking around with balloons, bats, and machetes.
Yeah, the bats and machetes. Yeah, getting a little
concerning.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have a good machete with you at your side, but
yeah,
there's not a lot of brush in the city to knock down.
Well, it went past statewide then and went nationwide because then there were creepy clown sightings in Indiana, New Mexico, and Florida. And it made me think of, there's some band or something group called Insane Clown Posse. They're like crazy, creepy looking.
Yeah.
And then the creepy clown in the movie It. He was creepy, man. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't like that.
The sharp little pointy teeth.
Oh, yeah. I think it was the same guy who did the what's that movie where they throw toast and stuff? Where Jane and
people throw toast?
Yeah, in the theater. What's the movie? It's the one where the transvestite, it's Curry.
Oh. Yeah. I know
Rocky Horror Picture Show. Yeah.
You should know that.
I know. I was a big Rocky Horror Picture Show. I couldn't think of it. It's been so many years. I used to go every weekend just to throw toast. It was fun. Peg people. That was great.
Yeah.
But
Toast.
Curry, I forgot his name, but his last name's Curry. He played the It guy. So he's... all right, so I don't know. It's just weird, but now it's happening up in Green Bay and the whole black balloons thing,
Mm-hmm.
So, not cool.
There ain't no
Stop
reason
freaking
to
people
carry
out.
that balloon and machete, boy.
You didn't have fear of clowns, you're gonna.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like clowns.
No, they don't. Isn't that weird?
I mean, I can see now why. There's a really pretty good reason.
Now.
It's like, there's a good reason not to like them now. I mean, you guys don't know the machete.
I was never scared of clowns, but I never liked them. It was like, no one's that happy all the time.
Why are you hiding behind that paint? What is going on in there?
Why are your shoes so big? I know your feet aren't
What
that
is
big.
up with that nose?
Oh my god, that's funny. All right. Next story is Schoolin' with Satan.
Yeah, Schoolin' with Satan.
Nice.
Oh,
So, the Satanic Temple is planning on rolling out an after-school Satan club at public elementary schools across our nation.
Bobby, what time are you going to be home today? Well, it's going to be a little late, Mom. I'm going to go with Jimmy, and we're going to sit at the little Satan club. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Uh-huh.
They're going to start this as early as next month or two.
Hey, can I take my sister with me? We need a sacrifice. Great.
Hey, can we take the neighbor's chicken? This is terrible.
Hey, lady, what are you doing with that dog? We could use him tonight. Oh, man.
Who has a black cat in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
Public school days end about after 7 hours. Most have extended after-school activities like sports, homework club, reading clubs, homework help. And now, because of the politically correct society has thrown their little temper tantrums, they want so many rights that they don't know what's wrong anymore. Young children can now be offered an after-school program based on Satan. Absolutely ridiculous that we are even entertaining this idea.
Well, I mean, I see no purpose for entertaining anything that's going to have any type of a negative vibe.
Right. Well, here's the little, you would think, but they're trying to get out of that hole.
Yeah, I know.
This is what they're saying. So Doug Messner, he's the Satanic Temple's co-founder, okay? He states, if Christian how do you say that word?
Don't test me.
Evangelical groups have already staked a claim in after-school programs. Why shouldn't Satanists have a seat at the table as well? That's what he said. So these Christian groups, what they did was, because, you can't pray and you can't have your Bible, you can't say Jesus in school anymore, so they wanted to have after-school prayer groups or meeting groups and about God and stuff. You can't do that legally. So these Christian groups fought for the right to be a nonprofit, and they said, okay, that's fine. So after school, if you want to go, you can learn about God or whatever they do.
Right. And
so now the Satanist group is saying, you know what? We're a nonprofit too. So they want to do the same thing. They're going to utilize the fanatical politically correctness for their religious freedom. But we're going to use some common sense here, okay? Christianity talks about peace, love, joy, forgiveness, kindness, compassion, generosity, and hope. But Satan he's like the devil, the adversary, the enemy. He represents nothing good. He's like the prince of lies and, So, but the temples, this is where they say that they're not negative, and it's ridiculous. Their website calls this whole thing the Educating with Satan program. And they say they're going to focus on the concept of critical reasoning, independent thinking, fun, and free thought. And that's just a good way of saying Aleister Crowley's do what thou will.
Do what thou wilt.
Now, even though they're called Satanists and worship at the Satanic Temple, they claim they don't teach the existence of a literal Satan, but rather they use the name as a symbol for rebellion against tyranny and authoritative rule. And they believe that science trumps all. So they're saying they do not believe in a supernatural being of Satan. But that's opposite of what Anton LaVey, who started all this back in the 70s, or 60s, 70s, what he believed. So they're just saying that they're adding on to his and expanding. So even though he founded that movement in the 70s, they changed it somehow. But here, Satan's the father of all lies. So how are we going to believe anything any of these people say? They could be saying that that's what they're teaching, and then, they sneak in the back door there. Yeah. So it's safe to say those who call themselves Satanists are liars, too. That's how I see it. So even if we go by what they say, that they're just going to teach on rebellion and free thought.
The best bet I've always said for all this stuff is just that everybody just cut out all this stuff. Out of schools.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want your child to have a religious background, then you're going to have to send them to a private school.
Or teach them yourself.
Which is a parent's role anyway.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the only way to get rid of this stuff is say, you know what, there is none of this stuff of any religious nature whatsoever, period, in any public schools. Out.
Right.
Period. It's just gone. I mean, it's the only way to say it. You have other places for that. There's church, and there's vacation Bible schools, and there's Sunday morning stuff, and Sunday afternoon. There's Wednesday stuff. There's all sorts of stuff you can get your kid involved in. You just it's the only way. It's all gone.
Yeah.
Let's stick to the basics here. Let's teach people to do math, reading, history,
yeah.
and this keep it to facts.
Yep. I agree.
And science, let's keep science to adding this chemical and that chemical together and making bubbles. I mean,
you know what this reminds me of in a way?
What else are you going to do? It's gotten to the point where everybody has to have, I believe this and I believe that. It's like, you know what?
We can't accommodate everybody because that's where we're all divided.
Right.
And it's just there's so many people now that there's 10 times more opinions. But it reminds me of this. Okay, so let's say we're going to have a dinner party and I'm making like beef stew. Okay.
Really?
So
When's this happening?
Beef stew has certain ingredients. I mean, carrots, beef, broth, water, right? Okay, but then you have, let's say, 5 dinner guests. Well, this dinner guest likes onions, so he wants onions, and this dinner guest is let's say, he wants certain kind of potatoes, and this guest wants it. So now you're adding in all these extra ingredients to appease everybody. But what if, guest A doesn't like onions, but you had to make it for guest B?
Well, that's where we're at now.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
The entire school is allergic to peanuts, so the entire school can't have peanuts.
So now everybody at my dinner party has to eat a stew that, first of all, isn't even the recipe anymore, just to appease everybody. Now no one's going to like it. And that's exactly where we're at. So.
That's why we won't make stew at our house.
That's right.
Because too many people are too picky.
So
the era's changed. Time has changed. I mean, when I was a kid, it was, you get, and kind of sub to the same thing, but it's like, my mom would make something, she'd put it in front of you. That's what you're eating.
Right.
If you don't like it, I didn't even have the option of don't eat it. Oh, you're going to eat it. Whether you eat it now, or for breakfast, or for lunch, or for supper the next day, you will eat it because this is what I'm giving you. And it's not like I was getting, poop on a plate or something.
Right.
But it was like, you get a tea society, it's like, you don't always get what you want. And like Mick Jagger said, but you will find sometimes you get what you need.
Yeah.
And we need to realize that you can't have everything. And I think the school system and stuff, when it comes to all this religion, just get rid of it all. Just all of it.
Yeah, you have to.
Let's get rid of this Common Core junk. Let's get rid of all this stuff. Let's stick to the basics. Other countries do it. Why are we so lagging in everything?
Because we're trying to appease everybody.
We allow special interest groups
to
say, well, if you can do that, then I can do this. Well, no, because you're doing something stupid. So now, great.
Yeah, but to you it's stupid, but to them it's not. So it just causes problems.
That's not even their point.
Well, they're saying that
they're not doing it. I don't believe half these groups are doing something like that to say we want to have a voice too. They're saying, well, we'll get you back.
Well, that is what they're doing because
so
I'm going to bring up something that they say.
Parents are going to be like, yeah, can I stay after school and go to the satanic group? Oh, sure, honey.
Well, according to them, they said they've had a lot of parents very happy about it, and their kids are going to join. So I don't know if that's true or not.
Great.
But so let's say that they're not even going to discuss Satan.
Society's looking up.
Let's say they're going to actually talk about free thought and all that stuff, right? Even so, even if that is the case, God says if we're not for him, we're against him. And we have to be adhering or obedient to God's word. And if you're rebelling, you're not adhering to God's word.
Look,
so in a way, it's still ungodly.
That.
Right.
They don't care.
And
a child shouldn't have a total free reign of free thought. That's why they're a child. They have to go to school. They have to have mentors in their life, whether it be a coach or, a pastor or a friend or a grandmother or whatever. There's got to be people that mentor them and that mold them into the right way of thinking, the right things to do.
Yeah.
And even if you're taking religion out of because religion's very tainted. There's too much of it, and there's too many variations of it. So you got to teach kids right from wrong. It's like, no, you're not going to go over there and think you have free thought. This is how you think about right and wrong, and this.
Well, because if everybody lets their kids run wild, that's what's going to happen. You have to teach your children the way. You have to.
Yeah.
And what happens when people? I mean, look at our society. Kids are just doing whatever now, and they're wondering, why these kids are getting on drugs and they're getting pregnant, and not that they're all doing it,
well,
but
I was
the majority.
Good that way. I never got pregnant.
Oh, good. That's good.
I was very careful.
Yeah, you came with no baggage when I met you.
Good. None. No.
And then, how they say that science trumps all. Well, there's a lot of science that can prove a lot of God. So it's just all messed up. So how are they doing this? In 2001, like I said, the Supreme Court ruled that these religious groups wanting to use public school facilities for their after-school programs can organize, but as a non-religious group, but as a, like a...
Sure, just use it. Just change your title.
Yeah. So... the schools can't discriminate anymore against it for an after-school program.
But nobody ever calls the kettle black anymore.
No, everybody's got to change.
It's like, the kettle's not black. It's really just a really dirty gray.
So these evangelical Christian groups, they formed the Good News Club. And the Satanic Temple reached out to all the schools that have this Good News Club, because they say that, well, if you have that club, you have to have ours legally. So they didn't reach out to just any school, specifically the schools that already have this. It's a game to them.
That's what I was saying before. It wasn't that they were like, hey, wait a minute, we want to have a voice. They're like, oh, no, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
It's just, I'll get back at you.
Right.
It's like, what's the point?
Yeah. So that's all they're doing.
You lose the sincerity that they really want to get their message across. They just want to make sure that there's there's a left and a right and an up and a down. They're like, oh, we're going to be opposite.
They want to push.
Yeah, it's like, we're going to do this.
Well, this is what he said. He said that it'll be an hour-long club, one time a month, and that they will be providing a scientific after-school club to balance the superstition being put forward by these evangelical Christian groups. So they are, like you said, specifically targeting these groups.
And the fact of the matter is, and I hate to keep interrupting you, but I'm pumped.
Okay.
But these groups like this will have a lot of ammunition. You have got so many variations of Christianity and religion throughout the world that they're going to be able to say, hey, there's, they're believing in this, and believing in that, and this is wrong, and that's wrong, and they're going to be right. These satanic groups are going to be right in a lot of what they say because of what the world and history has done to religion and what they've done to God's word. They've distorted it and messed it up.
Well, they've turned God into religion.
Right.
Yeah.
They've messed it up so bad that there is tons of ammunition and that they can use, and they're going to be right.
Yep.
Now, I'm saying I don't agree with it, but it's reality.
Right. Oh, I agree with you.
It's like, well, yeah, you're right. Yeah. This isn't true, and you shouldn't be doing this, and they say that
because God is not religion,
right? God's
so
not
they're
religion.
coming against religion, and that's
right.
fine. But there is truth to God's word. It's just not
Get
religion.
rid of it all, I'm telling you.
Well, not. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to build a wall.
Okay. Now, this Mesner guy says that he believes the presence of Satanists at local elementary schools will send a positive message.
Sure. I'm sure it will. Yeah, positively. You're
But
right.
I think this is funny. So if they don't believe in actual Satan, like he says, I did a little research on this Doug Mesner guy.
Okay, perfect.
So he's the co-founder, like I said. Okay, he states, and on their website it states that the Satanic Temple spokesperson, his name is Lucian Graves. Lucian, obviously after Lucifer. But guess
Wonderful.
what? Lucian Graves, guess who that is? Doug Mesner.
Oh.
Yeah, I did a little research. So it's like, first of all, now you're two different people. One, you got a Lucifer name, and you say you don't believe in Satan, who is Lucifer. So I don't know. They believe the supernatural superstitious, they say, and that they're adding on to Anton LaVey's work, but they're really trying to change it. So Satan in everything is opposite of God. That's what's going to happen. Everything's going to be separated now. So there's dark to light, bad to good, lies to truth, and now we're going to have balance in our schools, I guess, unfortunately.
Schools are a joke.
Yep. And now, and even if this Good News Club pulls out, that other group's still going to be there. So they might as well just stay. It stinks.
Hey, that's what I noticed.
What?
See, I'm not getting any air from that fan because you're blocking it.
Okay, so.
You need to move over.
By the microphone, dear.
You're sucking up the air, man.
You don't even have your shirt on. Who cares?
You're an air sucker.
Well, you're naked almost.
You're sucking the air.
All right. So anyways, tonight we are going to be talking.
Look, I see your hair moving.
That's great.
Which means you're getting all the air.
You told me that it helped with the fan in here.
Yeah, until you decide to slide over.
No,
you moved that a little bit. See, now I got some.
Okay, good. Are you done?
Yeah.
All right. So we've been talking about evil clowns,
Hair
Satanists
sucker.
at schools, scary movies, documentaries about killer kids inspired by horror story characters. And we get into that main topic of spiritual influence and transference because we've got all this dark stuff that we've been talking about in the news. So are we influenced by spiritual forces?
Absolutely. It's energy, right?
Right.
Electromagnetic. See, I do that when I screw up a word really bad.
That's nice.
So, electromagnetic energy is the same as radiation or light. This is a type of energy, and it can take the form of visible light, like the light from a candle, a light bulb, or visible waves, like radio waves, microwaves, X-rays, gamma rays. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, when we think of spirits, we think of light. What do people always say? I saw this light, orb, or whatnot.
Yeah. So, God tells us in
Proverbs.
Proverbs 20:27. It says, "The human spirit is the lamp of the Lord that sheds light on one's inmost being."
And there are a lot of verses in the Bible that talk about the soul and the spirit light. So we can be affected by those waves and forms of light and the levels of light.
Well, just like we can pass by somebody in the store who's maybe a really good person. We can get a good feeling about somebody and not have said a single solitary word to them. Same thing with a bad person or somebody who's just dark. And maybe they're not even really dressing a certain way or nothing. You're just like, it doesn't happen often. But once in a while, you'd be like, ooh, that guy gave me the creeps or whatever.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, well, how is that possible? They didn't do or say anything to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there is a presence of energy within them, good or bad, that has done something to you.
Well, I know that they did this study, and I think it was 80s or 90s, and it was a special kind of camera and the heat wave cameras and stuff, where they would take a man and a woman to see if they were attracted to each other, and they would take the camera and they could see their body heat and stuff.
I remember that.
And you could tell because their body heat would raise or whatever.
Right.
And then certain people, when they'd kiss, they would turn, the energy would turn red. So there is some kind of energy going on there. And then, you think of smells. Isn't there something that...
there's smells, and has to do with fertility and the
hormones
time of the month
and all
and
that.
hormones and all that stuff put together, which draws, which is people can just sense it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a physical thing, not necessarily energy. But if that works, it would be the same type of thing with energy.
Happens to me all the time.
What does?
The stuff.
What, you see hot chicks when you're grocery shopping or something?
I never go grocery shopping. That shouldn't be a problem.
Where do you go? You go to Menards.
Menards.
Yeah. Are there hot chicks at Menards?
I don't know.
Good. That's a good answer. That's right, because you're just looking for tools.
Yeah, tools. I didn't know if anybody even worked there. Do they? Doesn't this just check out on your own?
Light is nature's way of transferring energy through space, right? So we can complicate it by talking about the whole interacting electric fields and magnetic fields, quantum mechanics, and all that. But simply stated, light is energy. We know that.
Right, so a living organism has to have a magnetic field of its own. Now, consider this fact that a magnetic field is created every time a current is passed through an electric wire. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a material effect to that wave and surge of energy. Wouldn't you think the same has to do with spiritual forces?
Well, I would. If light is energy, and we've got souls and spirits that are that light, that would be a form of energy. And then if you think about how we're influenced by others, like you were talking about, so that would be like a magnetism. So whether it's a negative or a positive.
Like me. I've been told I have magnetism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By who? Chicks at Menards?
What chicks?
Okay, so...
There's chicks in the backyard. Chickens.
So if we can influence others by our magnetism, in turn, we've got to be able to be influenced by others' charisma as well. So we can almost be drawn to it. You can be, like you were saying, you could either get a creepy feeling from somebody or you feel drawn to somebody. And you don't know why. Sometimes like, oh, that person looks like so-and-so or whatever. But I think there is a spiritual thing. But it could be a possible negative thought, maybe. Like, I don't know, like I was grocery shopping and I saw this guy and he was in a long black trench coat, okay? And he was definitely, I think, a warlock, like a male witch because of how he was dressed and he had the tattoo and all this stuff. And he wanted to be seen that way,
right?
Right? So that would give off a negative energy because he was looking not happy and stuff. And then you see somebody else who's walking through the store and they're just, hey, I'm all happy and
little social butterflies.
Yeah.
Hey.
And so that gives off, but that's a behavior and an attitude.
Right.
So that would be different, I would think, than a spiritual thing. Unless you've got something spiritual going on and that's where you're emanating your happiness, or because I'm like a happy person. I'm a lot happier now than I ever was, and that's because of God and stuff. So, I don't know. So, do you think that just a person's stance and demeanor could affect? So, if you're...
Absolutely. I mean, all things can affect you.
Well, how come it would affect some people and not others?
Well, intimidation of different levels, too.
Yeah, I guess. You're very intimidating when you speak sometimes, so...
it's like, you're... I don't know. You get somebody that stands next to you is 8 foot tall and he's wearing leather and spikes and long hair and looks mean and looks like he's carrying several knives and guns and he's got, things all it. It's like he might be a little intimidated. Like, is this guy going to beat me up or step on me or something?
And that's a physical thing.
It's a physical, but he could be doing nothing wrong. But I mean, countenance on people's faces, looks, movements. I mean, that's all physical. But
so, do you think if someone's standing there and they're looking all mean and do you think they're that they're emanating an energy? Do you think maybe?
I think they're.
Or is that just how
extent,
we? Yeah.
I think But different people can view other things. People who live in a lifestyle, let's say, and I'm not stereotyping, but see, you moved, and I got arrogant. This is incredible.
All right.
Anyways, so, I mean, let's say you got this, these motorcycle guys. They're rough. They got all the leather. They got
Hell's
all the
Angels
spikes
in
and something like
California.
that. And you might look at them and say, oh, wow, these are really bad dudes or whatever. And so for someone like you and me, maybe who haven't really noticed them or ever been around people like that, we might be intimidated just because of who or what they are or how they dress or whatever. But if you know some of these people, you might find out that they're just regular people and it happens to be like what they like to wear.
Yeah.
And they like motorcycles and that's just what you do.
And the same thing spiritually.
Right.
It could be a spiritual thing or it could just be you. You
Right.
just don't know.
So,
but there's always clues and hints to know which is which. Like most people now, many people, I shouldn't say most, many people claim to be empaths, which is more common now than it ever was. And if you guys don't know what that is, that's where someone will feel the emotion or physical pain of other people. And it's an intense feeling, sometimes even more than you would feel of your own. It's sort of like a bombardment of sensations if you're not in control of it. Because you really can't. You can't control it. It's an energy that you feel. And it can overstimulate a person and even manifest into erratic behavior. And then you think about the high rise of ADHD and bipolar, and there are more people in this world, and we have opened many, many supernatural doors, in the last century. So there's got to be more spiritual energy, so we are being affected more. So I wonder if that's where we get bipolar and ADHD. That they're reacting off a negative energy that they're sensing or feeling. So that could be.
And we've talked about stuff like this before between the stuff in our air, food, and water and such. I mean, a lot of people are being affected in a lot of different ways by our society and what's in it.
Yeah, but I'm not talking physical. I'm talking spiritual.
Well, spiritual, they can be... Physically, you can be affected spiritually.
Wait, say that again?
If you are affected in a negative way physically,
Yeah.
it can affect you spiritually.
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, you have enough crud happen to you physically, you're going to be affected.
And vice versa.
Right.
If you're spiritual, that's where a lot of people who
get sick and stuff. Right. So,
fibromyalgia
I mean,
comes
it all
in.
works together. We're all one body, and we all have a lot of different mechanisms within us that can be affected.
Well, we had a neighbor, and I remember they moved in, when they moved in, they brought there was the daughter and the mom, and maybe even the son, came to say, hey, we're new in the neighborhood. You remember that? And their daughter played with our daughter, and everything was cool.
Right.
And I, being a sensitive person to spiritual stuff, I got sort of a feeling from her.
Yeah, you told me right away.
And the mom looked totally normal, totally fine, Miss Suburbia, nothing outrageous about her at all.
Right.
But I just had this weird feeling about you. She was super friendly, and I was like, So their daughter played with our daughters, and then we come to find out the more our daughters got to know their daughter, the mom was practicing, it sounded like voodoo. She had this doll of people, and she was doing things with it. And I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder I was feeling something. So I was already... I
remember you. I was like, what's wrong with this girl? And you're like, and right off the bat, you're like, I just don't get a good feeling about this girl.
And the mom and the girl.
Right.
And so then we find out that... through the years, this daughter has been in and out of juvie. She's attempted to kill her baby brother in the pool.
All sorts
Cops
of stuff.
were there all the time, and something's just not right. And she would tell our daughter about how the mom would practice all this weird stuff, and it makes sense. And I sensed it right away. So. And I remember one time I was getting gas at the gas station, and I saw this girl years later. She was probably maybe about 15, and she was on her bike, and she biffed on her bike. Now, she's like 15 years old. She biffs on her bike, and she starts screaming bloody murder like she's going to die. And I was like, oh, my God, maybe she broke a bone or something. I didn't know. I run over to see her if she's okay, and she looks up to me, and she was shocked that I stopped to help her, and she's like, you know who I am, right? And I said, well, of course I do. And I forgot her name now. But, she was like, why are you being nice to me type thing. I'm thinking, I said, are you okay? She's like, yeah. And I actually put her bike in the car and took her home. And I just had such a bad vibe, but I had to help her. I brought her home. And it was just like, so spiritually, she was being affected. So I don't think she was a bad kid. I think she was being affected, and you sense
they still
that.
live down the street, so.
Do they still?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen that girl in ages, so I didn't know.
That's the house with the pool. Right in the corner.
Oh, they're the pool house?
They're the pool house.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
The listeners are like, what?
Yeah, okay, sorry, we're just having a
what
conversation.
Pool, what house?
I didn't know
Where
that.
are you guys at? I don't see this.
Okay, so, and I think that spiritually we get affected. And so it makes sense that we would sense that in other people, and it would affect us. So there's a growing number of people that report experiencing spirits, and they report having some kind of bipolar or ADHD. Now, science fiction and New Age talk about all this empath stuff, but there is something to it. So I know a lot of people don't believe in it, but you talk to people and they'll admit it. Some people don't even know they have it, that they have the sensitivity to spiritual stuff. But it's almost like an electrical current. Like, you get this flood of emotions, and all of a sudden you get, like, sad, and it comes out of nowhere, and it totally consumes you. And it's confusing because you don't fully understand what's happening, but it's not to be confused with actual depression, because that's a totally different, that's a physical thing and stuff. So, but when you pick up on a spiritual presence, you'll feel, ooh, I got a chill, or ooh, something creeped me out. That's not empath ability. Empath ability would be like, like you walk by somebody and you feel their pain for some reason. And, we've shared stories about how I would get bruises on me out of the blue for nothing.
I've seen some crazy stuff with you, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, I know it's real. Now, usually with empath abilities, it comes with spiritual experiences. Night terrors when you're younger, near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, psychic abilities. So it usually goes hand in hand. So if you're thinking maybe you're empath but you don't have this other stuff, you might not be empath, because they really do work together. It's a whole supernatural thing. It's not just one, particular thing.
Yes, fascinating.
You wonder, is it psychological, is it biological, or spiritual, or maybe all three? I did some study on this, okay? And the government did something called, they were studying what they called mirror neurons. Now, they think that maybe, they don't know for sure if these even exist, that they shed some light on a possible explanation that people experience empathy because, now it gets complex, these mirror neurons are thought to be like neuropsychological mechanism. So I don't know. I don't understand any of that stuff.
There's a word.
So they're trying to figure it out. So they're making like these assumptions and hypotheses. Maybe this is it. They don't know. But even if they are right, it still can be spiritual. Because like you said, spiritual affects physical, and physical does.
You're affected in all areas.
Right. Yeah. And it's involved with how we understand the actions of others and learn to imitate them and stuff like that. But either way, our bodies are just shells, and our souls and spirits were here first. So, and we're talk supernatural. That's why we talk it. Yeah. Now, our bodies do react to how we live.
Yes.
And if spirits are light, and light is energy, energy is going to affect all people. Now, if you think about radiation, radiation can make you sick.
It also can cure you.
Yeah. Heat.
Can make you feel good. Or like right now.
Not so good.
Not so good.
Can make you feel. People can get sick. They can get what do you call that? Heat stroke and stuff.
Yeah. That's what's happening to me.
Sound waves.
Yes.
They can motivate you.
Sound waves can actually move things. There's a lot of power to sound waves. Yeah.
Or they can actually hurt your eardrums and bust your eardrums.
Right.
So
they can make a sweet sound like me singing.
So if radiation, heat, and sound waves are energy, and they can physically affect us, then the energy of spiritual beings can affect us too.
Absolutely.
Now, there is something called an emotional contagion, and that's where it's a process where a person or group influences the behavior of another, and it's through the conscious or unconscious stimulation of emotional states and behavior and attitudes. Sort of like what we were talking about. It's if someone is very, pronounced and they intimidate you, and all of a sudden you feel intimidated. That's not empath or spiritual. That's just, this was interesting. The U.S. Air Force research project was declassified in 2004. Teleportation physics study. The government was studying this stuff. Teleportation physics study. They were trying to
teleport people?
Well, that's what they called it, but what it was showing was psychokinesis. So if you could, like that movie Carrie, where she could move stuff, they were studying this, and they were doing studies with this, and they were doing other parapsychological phenomenon stuff too. But they had a subject where they were doing rigorous research and documentation on this very thing, how our emotions and how we react if we can move things. So they were doing that.
Well, there are people who can do that, right?
Oh, yeah. But I don't think that, not like in the movie Carrie, I don't think. You know, like...
What? That wasn't a true story?
Do you remember when we were kids, there was that supposedly that psychic guy, Uri Geller, who could bend spoons, and they found out it was fake.
Yeah, how did they do it, though?
I still don't know, but I know it was supposedly fake. I think it had to do with heat and...
But they had other people do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they... But I know he was found out to be fake.
Huh.
But you would have to say that this stuff is real, because we've seen things on investigations. We've seen baskets fly off the walls and hit us. We've seen candles fly off.
Right.
And on an investigation, I had a flashlight knocked out of my hand for nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if spirits can do it, and it's all energy.
Why can't we?
Right.
Right.
We probably just don't have the ability, like, to know how to do it.
Yeah, that's probably more the connection.
Yeah.
It's there, but, you know, it's like having the power across the room on an extension cord. It's there.
Now, what about, this is the other thing I want to talk about, spirit transference. When we're physically affected, not just by sight or sound, but by a physical feeling, emotional and mental, from a spirit. So, you know, when people say they go ghost hunting and they get an attachment, right. What do you think? So, let's say we went ghost hunting and we brought home a ghost, and we ended up having someone come to our house to hang out. Do you think that spirit that we brought home could be transferred to that person? That person could take it?
Well, sure.
You do?
Absolutely. I believe that the spiritual world, for whatever reason, is going to find what's most attractive for it, being, whatever, you know.
Right.
So if it's just like a puppy, you know, a dog, whatever, you can be, you know, you get this dog and you have the dog a little while, and somebody comes over that's a little bit nicer and gives them a bunch of food and that's really nice and some toys. The dog might be like, yeah, I'm going to go home with you now. I mean, yeah, why not? If the spirit that's there either finds the path that they're looking for, whatever it is, easier or better, then why wouldn't they go that way?
And I just want our listeners to know, when we talk about spirits, I'm personally talking about demonic spirits, because I don't...
Same thing. I believe the demonic spirit's going to find it's whatever it's going to work for it, just like we do.
Yeah.
We sometimes go take paths in our lives that may make the most sense, be the most colorful, be whatever, the easiest. I don't see why the spiritual world would be any different.
Well...
It's going to take a path that it wants.
Now, we know that in the Bible, God is specific about, he names a couple of his angels that... Like Gabriel, he was like the messenger angel, that he did that a lot. And Michael seemed to be the archangel. He was like, you know, the head guy type thing. So I'm wondering if demonic beings, like there's a spirit of fear and a spirit of divinity. Okay, so let's say I had a spirit of fear, okay? And I invite somebody over and they don't have any kind of fears or whatever. I wouldn't think that spirit of fear...
I don't think that door is going to be opened up then.
Right, so it wouldn't go to them. But if it was a different
demonic... You asked
demonic,
me if it was possible.
Yeah.
Do I think it would happen? I think, can it happen? Yes. I'm saying, does it happen all the time or nothing? No. What's the path going to work? I mean, it's a conduit. What's the conduit? So if the spiritual being finds the conduit that it wants to be an easier path or a more likely path or what it wants, that's the way it's going to go.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know, it's just going to follow the path that's least resistance. That's what all things do. Follow the path of least resistance.
And that's why you got to be real careful where you go. Like, I think it was last week I got an email from somebody, and they felt that they got a spirit from, I think it was a parking lot. And they said, I really believe that I picked something up. And it's weird, ironically, because that has happened to me before. In fact, do you remember it was maybe 5 years ago, we were at church one day, and it was during the morning church service, and all of a sudden I got some kind of attack. I was so sick, I had to go to the car, and I slept in the car the rest of the service. Do you remember that?
I do.
And I mean, we were at church, so for me to get, maybe I already had something on me, and it was fighting while I was there, or maybe there was someone there at church.
You're trying to restrict time and space. You say it's a parking lot. To who?
Oh, good point. To us, yeah.
To us, it's a parking lot. That doesn't mean what it was. And once
true.
again, you're restricting time and space to. That's for us. Time and space is for the living.
Yeah.
Once you cross over into the death, your time and space changes. So
you don't think that spirits see what we see? Well, I know they see what we see, but so if we're in a parking lot,
I think they see what we see, and I think
they see what's really there too.
Yeah, there's realms which we do not see and understand. Yeah. And there may be people that are able to see or feel or hear or sense realms, and we know that to be fact. So,
There are people about this whole empath ability. There are people that are experiencing this stuff. One person says, my friend is an empath, and he told me he feels what I feel, and I don't want him to. Is there any way I can block him out? Another person said, can empath abilities be mixed in with psychic abilities, like getting a really bad feeling to the point of tears and feeling sick before something bad happens to someone or to you? Where can I get more information on honing and working with this? Another person said, I'm an empath, and my grandmother and my aunt also have this gift.
Sure.
I prefer to call it a curse, though. Everyone says,
yes.
You are so lucky, or that is so cool. But it's not cool.
Who wants to feel sad when you're not sad?
I know.
So she's right.
But it's not cool. I don't have the name. I just wrote, copied and pasted it.
Right.
But it's not cool, and I'm not lucky. It is literally making me sick. I've gotten myself sick 2 times this month because of this stupid thing. I've had it since I was 10, but I recently started to look into it after overhearing my grandmother talking to my mom about how I might have it. And that's what happened to me.
Right. You're the perfect person to deal with it.
Yeah. It's starting to take over my life, and I have no idea how to control it.
This individual needs to speak to you on a more personal thing because you have dealt with this. I've seen this happen to you.
It's
I remember
terrible.
that time we were camping, and you woke up with this bruise the size of a football on your leg.
Yep.
And you hadn't done anything. And in fact, you said it doesn't even hurt.
No.
But it was black and blue as though someone beat you with a bat on your legs.
Yeah, that was weird.
And then you come to find out when we got back from camping that your aunt had gotten in
a car accident
and hit her legs.
And they had to rip her out of the car, and it did that to the same leg.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, and you didn't even know about it.
No, not even.
Didn't even know about it till the next day or the day after, and you're like, oh, wow. But so that was a curse. I mean, here you are, these big black and blue marks.
And I wasn't even around her.
No,
which
don't
is
even live in the
crazy.
same state.
So, I mean, that was weird.
I mean, it's weird, but this kind of stuff happened all the time. And there was times where you would get sick and different things like that. And there is a way to fix this. But
and we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. You have to wear aluminum foil hats.
Did you
ever post those?
I didn't. We talked about that few episodes ago.
Yeah.
And we did get our aluminum hats, and we made them, and we took pictures.
Yes.
And it was very difficult to keep them on our heads, but we did it. Our neighbors probably thought we were nuts. What are they doing out there? Okay, so what about that negative energy transferring and moving? Like, it could attach itself to your kids. And do you think that it stays with you the whole time? Do you think it hops around? Because in the Bible, remember, Jesus cast out a demon, put it into the pigs.
I still stand by what I just said. It's going to follow the conduit it wants.
Yeah, but why would... So, but then, I don't know, then is that a haunting then, do you think? Do you think it haunts or just stays with the person?
We don't have, as much as this stuff that we've done, I don't think we're always going to get all these answers.
Yeah.
Explanations as to why a spirit or a demon or what have you bounces from one to another. You know yourself, on investigations, part of your book's written about the fact that we had went to an investigation of a known something that was there, and it jumped to one person and jumped to another person. You're saying, well, why did that happen?
Yeah.
It found a path. It found something it wanted, whether that was just to take away something from God or whatever it was, it found a reason that it wanted to do that. And we don't always have those answers, and we may never have those answers in our living lifetime.
So whether we're affected by a spirit or by a person, a live person's spirit because of a negative
Well, you
feeling,
can be
whatever.
around a negative person long enough, and you are eventually going to have some negative things to say and do and act.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, it's just part of life. You're around light, you're going to be light. You're around darkness all the time, you're going to have a dark outlook. You're
So the same as with
around
the spirit.
sick people constantly, nonstop, all the time, who complain about they're sick and their ailments. Before you know it,
yeah, you're doing the
suddenly
same thing.
you're recognizing some own ailments in your own body, going, yeah, me too.
Yeah, good point.
And so you're affected physically, mentally, spiritually by all things. Any avenue can be touched, physically, mentally, or spiritually, and it's going to affect you eventually in all areas of your life. So you take somebody who has empath abilities or whatever, or, well, like you said, a curse in this case, and they're like, first it's a feeling, but that feeling can turn into an illness.
Yeah.
It can go on and on, deeper and deeper. And so...
You need to get rid of it.
Right.
Well, I believe that the only way we can protect ourselves from spiritual influence and transference is by avoiding it altogether. Now, some people say, well, I can't do that. Some people can, some people can't. And we're going to just talk about what you can do. Stay away from situations that can lead you to spirits. Stay away from ghost hunting. Don't talk to spirits if you think your house is haunted. Don't go to these new age shops where there's going to be books and other people who carry spirits with them. And I like that stuff. Okay, well, then you might deal with it.
Well, that just makes sense. It's just like you probably wouldn't go, hang around a leper's house either,
Yeah, you don't want leprosy.
It's like, I don't know why I got leprosy. Well, because you just hanged out the leper's house for the last 6 months. What would you expect? I mean, so, a drunk that's trying to get better should probably not go hanging out at the bar.
Or hang out with people who do drink because that's what they're going to talk about.
It's just all common sense. So if you know of something that's going on in a certain place, then you don't go there.
Yeah.
And if you do, don't complain about it. It's
All
like,
right,
it's your own
it's true.
problem.
Another way is if you watch shows that conjure up fear or anger, these, from ghost hunting shows to horror flicks, that's going to conjure up negative things, fear,
Right.
And then you might have a nightmare or whatever.
You
and
play with fire, it's an old saying. You're going
Yeah.
to get burned.
Yep.
And so if you're going to go sit and watch these movies, I like those. Okay, well then don't,
Then you-
wonder why your child's having nightmares or
you are.
or why these things happen. And like, darkness will lead to darkness. Light will lead to light. I mean,
Oh,
it's
that's
just-
my
yeah.
That's my next thing. Well, after this one, if you need to stay away from people who are continually dark or sad too. But when you're feeling negative, what drowns out darkness?
light.
So you have to mentally block the darkness by making a conscious choice to bring in light and positivity.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like,
Rainbows
everything's-
and flowers.
right?
But
I'm not talking about that.
music, positive music and something good that can change. Music has one of the biggest influential things, which I know we're going to go over in the future, but there's positive music that it can actually change your entire mood.
Well, there's one light that's above all things, and that's God.
That's
So-
right. It's an LED light.
No.
Oh.
If you simply think about God, state his name, Jesus, or just
That's fine for
say
those
a prayer.
who understand and know him.
Right, but you know what? Before I knew God, I called on him and he came. So if you reach out to God, he's gonna come to you.
Ask. And you
Ask.
shall receive.
Yeah,
Seek
exactly.
and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened unto you.
So you can do that, but if the more you put yourself in the light and turn away from that darkness, you won't have these problems. And they're like, that might be true, but I used to have these empath abilities, like we talked about.
Right.
It doesn't happen to me anymore because I've totally turned away from that stuff, and I've just
and to defend the one person who wrote you or whatever, she's part of a lineage. She said her grandma had it, her mom had
Right,
it, now
like
she
I
has
did.
it. So we don't want to tell this individual, say, well, you're practicing bad things. Not necessarily.
no, right,
It could be part of your lineage, but you still can get out of it.
yeah.
It's part of, we can go into the generational curses biblically and all this stuff like that. You say, well, I didn't do anything wrong. You may not have.
Right.
But you don't always have to do something wrong to be part of it. I mean, I don't have as much hair on top of my head as I would like. I didn't do anything wrong. It's part of hereditary. I can't help it,
Yeah.
right? And so this individual can't help it either. But, of course, the hair's not the best thing because I can't do nothing about it. But she
Sure
or
you
he
can.
can do something about it.
Yeah.
There is something you can do when you're dealing with spiritual things. Spirit must be fought with spirit.
Exactly. You can't fight spirit with physical.
Right.
You really can't. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work.
So, just you have to turn away, and you have to,
In fact, the Bible tells us all things are spiritual.
Yeah.
So spiritually, you can fight all other avenues. You can fight physical with spiritual. But you can't fight physical on the spiritual. But spiritual can dominate everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
So there is always a way out. But what spirit? I mean, I wouldn't join the Satanist club at the local high school. Probably won't work.
And now there's also people who say, well, you know what? I don't do any of that stuff. I don't have anything negative in my life, and I still have these empath abilities.
Right.
And like this one person, it might be a generational curse, or you
Right.
don't know. But it doesn't matter whether you're doing something dark, hanging around people dark, or you're not. It's still the same answer. You have to block it out mentally. It's like a muscle. You have to say, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then go to the light that's above all light, which is God. And whether you believe in God or not, I'm just telling you that's what worked for me, and that's the answer. Because he's the head guy. There's nothing. He's above all spirits, above all light, all energy.
You didn't even want to go to malls or any places of crowds because you could pick up
everything.
Things you did not want to pick up on. I think, I don't really want to go there because
it was horrible.
You go there and you're like, oh, something's wrong with that person. Oh, this person's that, or this. Oh, they're sick. Something's wrong.
I hated it.
And it's like, who wants? But on the other hand, as if you have many hands. This curse can also be used as a gift.
Right.
If
Good point.
You're going back to the source. The source is the creator. The creator is God. And if you get to the right place with him, a gift like this could be, as you see it as a curse now, could become a gift down the road where it gets turned on and turned off as needed.
Exactly.
There could be a time when you might want to say, I need to know how that person's feeling in order to help them.
Or you could be walking by somebody and God allows you to, so that you stop to help that person.
Right.
And you're like, okay, that's why. And that's happened to me where I'm like, I just know something's wrong with them. I'm going to go talk to them, or I just pray for them. Sometimes I don't even confront them. And then it's gone. Whereas before I couldn't turn it off.
Right.
But
and then you were stuck with it and you didn't get to talk to the person.
So if you don't want it to go away and you want to be able to control it, this is the only way.
It's a matter of desperation. You give people advice all the time. We always talk about people, and there's a small fraction that'll actually take the advice and actually find an outcome that they're looking for. But then there's a percentage of them like, I don't want to do that. Well, okay, then don't complain.
So, it's like if you're in a bedroom and you have your light on and you turn that light off. Well, the electricity is still running through the current. You just don't have the effect of the light. So, and it's the same thing. You can say, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not doing it. That doesn't mean it's even though it's off, it doesn't mean it's stopped. It's just the light is off. Someone can turn that light on any time. And you stick your finger in that socket and you're zzz. So you have to stop the source.
Right.
All
right.
Yeah. Okay, so we're almost out of time. Well, actually, we were out of time 17 minutes ago.
Yep.
But we did miss 2 weeks, so I thought, hey,
why not?
What's
where are you?
up?
Where are you people? I'm sorry, we have lives. And since we do this on a Fridays are sometimes, like, I don't know, when we went, we took our oldest daughter and we went, her boyfriend, we went camping and
we had a good time. And it wasn't in front of a mic, but we still had a good time. So we got to do it once in a while. God, give us a break.
Yeah.
Good.
Right?
We'll skip Rock and Reject this week just because we went over in time.
Yep.
So, but that's a wrap for tonight. And like I said, remember to give us a call on our new number, and you can leave us a message. Tell us if you like the show, hate the show.
You can email us with questions, comments, and tell us how you love us or hate us, which I can't imagine, but 1 out of 10 million.
You have a hater out there. She keeps posting, and I mean, she hates you. She's got like 3 different names, and she tries different avenues, and she F-bombs you and everything, and I just keep blocking her because, you can hate me, be respectful and hate me. But it is funny. And she writes the same things, and then when I delete it, then she put it. So it's just funny. But it happens.
There's always somebody.
Not everybody's going to like us. That's okay. We like the haters, too.
You have to know me to love me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our number is 262-757-TSR2. Oh, I got to sneeze.
Oh, achoo. 262-757-TSR2.
Next week, we're going to be discussing the Slender Man documentary case, and we're going to get more into the influence of horror and the supernatural on our kids and our minds. You can tweet us, call us, email us with comments, thoughts on that case too if you want. And join us live on the chat next week, next Friday, 7 p.m. Central. And we'll meet you here next week. Thank you for listening.
And remember, you may not have heard it here first, but you heard it here the best. Forget about the rest. That's the lest. Best. Zest. Am I still on?
You guys know I like to talk, right? So let's keep the topic going. Like our Facebook page, Talk Supernatural Podcast, and follow us on Twitter at TSR Parapod. Like us, love us, hate us, hit us up with an email, talksupernatural@gmail.com. Listen live on Friday nights and join us in the chat room. We'll make you guys part of the show.
Check out more from Talk Supernatural Radio. Head over to tsradio.net. You can listen to TSR on iTunes, Spreaker, TuneIn, and YouTube. If you have any questions or would like to know more on spiritual afflictions, hauntings, demonic influence, check out Scott and Heidi's SWAT resource site at EP612SWAT.com.
This world's a tortured place to be. So many things to torment me. And as I stumble down this road, it takes a toll. I need an intervention. But I can see it coming. Some things just can't be explained.
And that's all, folks.